right, we're just going to jump straight into this particular topic on this edition of The Edit on Center for Cinephiles. We're going to talk about the recent news to come out of the Disney camp with regard to casting for the upcoming film The Little Mermaid, the live action version. If you don't know, this was just dropped recently. Ariel will be played by none other than Miss Halle Bailey, the young woman who is a lead character on the show Grownish. This is something that's been talked about a lot online and elsewhere for the main reason that Halle is black and Ariel, as we all know, is not. So obviously representation is a good thing, particularly for people of color. It's important for representation. We know this, we accept this. Okay. The issue with having a black actor take over a role that is traditionally white is if you're someone who is eager for original stories that feature people of color, you miss out on the opportunity to tell those stories when you cast someone black in a role traditionally white. That is a questionable piece. Is it bad? Not necessarily. It's just something to note. You go, hey, rather than have this person play, a character we know is white, how come that person can't be in a role that's maybe similar or whatever it is, but it's original, it's its own thing. That's one question to put out there with regard to the casting. I don't think it's wrong that Halle is cast. Halle Bailey is cast as Ariel. I think it's great. The other piece is this: likely they'll probably update some aspects of the original film that were dated, things that were sexist, like they've been doing. If you've been following the live action remakes that Disney's been putting out, some of the stories they've been adding little things here that are not what you remember from the original animated film because they weren't there. And they were made in different times, so there's things that've been likely in the wake of the Time's Up movement and Me Too. There will be something in The Little Mermaid that will be palatable, that would be aware of the time in which it's being made. So that in mind, they'll probably do that. But since the movie's not out yet, I'm going to say this thing. My concern about having Halle Bailey, this young, lovely black woman, in this role is if you know the story of the Disney's version of The Little Mermaid, where Ariel essentially has to ultimately give up her voice at some point for the prince so she can spend time with this man. Something about having her silenced. There's a problem, which it gets into this whole other thing. I'm not going to unpack all of this, but one thing. So Ariel is silenced at one point in the story to spend time with Eric. Knowing that at some point Ariel in this live action film should be black, who will be silenced, speaks to this whole thread of the silencing of black women, the erasure of black women, and all these things. So that's potentially questionable and could be potentially problematic. The other thing is I'm guessing that Eric in this film will be white. And since there's been I feel like more of an attempt to normalize interracial relationships in ads you see on TV, in movies and in magazines, whatever it is. My feeling is that Ariel will be black. Obviously, we know that, but Eric will be white. And all the more so, it's a problem. It's potentially a problem if she's silent for any stretch of the movie to be with this white prince. There's all these other things. These are just things that I'm thinking about that could be issues down the line with having black Ariel be in this film. I hope that that's not the case. I hope I'm wrong. I'm speculating on a lot of things. These are just things that I'm thinking about with regard to that. Now, all that said, look, I loved the original Little Mermaid as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. I had a huge crush on Ariel. I will fully admit that. You know, as a kid, it's about 5 or 6 when I first saw the film, I was in love with her. She was beautiful. She had this lovely voice, speaking and singing, all these things, right? Oh, and the music was great. Not to take away from the positive feelings that Halle's casting has brought up. A lot of people are excited about her. Me too. I'm excited to see what she does with the role. It's happening. You know, it's going to happen. So it's going to be good. It'll be interesting to see either way. So there is positivity in that. The fact that she's going to be in this role. She's going to be seen by a lot of little girls who immediately she's going to be their Ariel. She's going to make a huge impression on a lot of girls and boys. So that said, that's a beautiful thing. But just to look at more critically what this means, the positives, but also the potential questions it brings up. Not necessarily negatives. These are questions. The fact that how should be portrayed, special care needs to be taken with how she's portrayed. A lot of eyes are going to be on it, and it's going to make or break a lot of kids' idea of what that looks like at a subconscious level. So that said, I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm excited to see what happens. Those are my thoughts on it. I believe that it makes sense that she should have her own situation at some point. Or characters like her should have their own stories to tell instead of inhabiting other stories that have been told. That's what I think. I want to know what you think. Have you seen it? If you've seen the news, if you have any opinion on it at all, let me know. If you don't, that's okay too. I just thought I was compelled to make a video about this and or at least do something about it, like talk about it in some way. So look for the blog entry on the same issue coming up pretty soon. I just thought I would get up here and say my 2 cents and leave it at that. If it's all the same, that's all I've got to say. Stay tuned. I'll be back later. In the meantime, I'm out of here. Thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to my thoughts. I'll see you guys later.